Hey everybody, I'm back for us to read chapter 26 of Pax. Grab your book, we are on page 237. Here we go. Kid! Peter twisted around so sharply he nearly fell over. He'd been certain the guard station was empty. He'd watched for 10 full minutes to make sure before leaving his cover. A soldier came out from behind a truck. He lifted his rifle butt to the sign chained over the barricade, "No entry." Peter straightened up as tall as he could on his crutches. It had been 2 days since he'd spoken to anyone. 2 days since the bus driver had said, "I don't know what you're really up to, son, but I doubt it's a good idea. You want, I can get you on a bus back tonight. No shame in that." And Peter had replied, "No thanks," because there would have been shame in turning back. And then the bus driver had said, "All right then, good luck," and let him out. Not a soul had spoken to him that night. The town was on the perimeter of the evacuated area, and the few people he passed cast their eyes down, picked up speed, as if they couldn't afford to make contact with anyone who might need help. Nothing extra here, their looks said. All is already lost. The next day, from sunrise to well past sunset, and most of this morning, he had traveled on roads through vacant towns, past abandoned schools and playgrounds, and neighborhoods spookily silent without their squeaking tricycles, their car radios, their pickup ball games. The only familiar sound had been water running through garden hoses when he filled his thermos. He hadn't seen any other humans, but he'd seen the animals they'd left behind. A skittish pony tugging up grass in front of a church. Dogs eyeing him balefully from behind dumpsters. Dozens of skinny cats sliding away. Okay, I'm in the middle of a sentence, but we got a picture. This is really creepy, and I'm so wondering if this is supposed to be a war that's already happened. Is this supposed to be a made-up war? Because this is fiction, but it's a creepy thought. Anyway, dozens of skinny cats sliding away, their flanks hollow as spoons. "Hey, kid!" The soldier moved closer. He eyed Peter's handmade crutches, the rough cast, the dirty clothes. "We evacuated this area almost 2 weeks ago. Where have you been?" "You don't know that?" "I know that, but I left someone down there. I'm going to get him." "Take it easy. We checked the roads. Everyone's out." "He's not a person." Peter jutted his chin, defying the soldier to argue that this mattered. Instead, the soldier's face changed, became somehow younger, and Peter saw that he wasn't that long out of high school. He slid his rifle back into its sling. "I have a dog, Henry." He didn't say anything else for a minute, just looked down the road as if he were hoping this dog of his would suddenly appear. Then he turned back and sighed. "I don't think anyone's walking him. My sister said she'd do it, but she works. Want to see his picture?" Even before Peter nodded, the soldier had drawn out his wallet. He held out a picture, a beagle, an ordinary beagle. Peter's throat hurt. The corners of the photo were worn soft and colorless. That picture had been taken out a lot. "That's Henry. I got him for my 8th birthday. His hips are bad now, but he still likes his walk, you know? Still likes to sniff out squirrels and stuff. I told my sister that, but Henry won't understand where I've gone, is the thing. He'll wait at the door all day for me. What's yours look like? I'll keep an eye out for him." "Pax isn't a..." Peter stopped. If it didn't matter that Pax wasn't a human, why should it matter that he wasn't a dog? "He's red, black legs." "How big?" "Coyotes out here. They have pups this time of year. They'll take down a small dog when they have a litter to protect." "He's pretty small." Peter shifted his weight off his blistered palms. "Please, I've come a long way to do this." The soldier gazed at his photo another minute before slipping it into his wallet. When he looked back at Peter, he seemed older again. "We're holding them, but they're coming. You go in. You got to be back out by tomorrow." He pointed at Peter's crutches. "You can do that?" "I can. So you'll let me through?" The soldier looked around and leaned in. "This road is patrolled hourly. but we only guard the main trail entrances. No one is stationed in the woods yet. You travel 20 yards in, no one would stop you. But listen, if you get caught, I didn't just say that. Now get out of here." "Thanks." Peter turned and started for the woods before the soldier could change his mind. "Kid, I hope you find him." It was quiet in the woods, but here the quiet was right, and it was broken by the sound of wild things, which seemed to promise. Here Peter could imagine seeing Pax's red brush flicking between the trees. Here, when he called, it was easy to imagine an answering bark. These things raised his spirits so much that he could almost ignore the pain in his palms and in his armpits, bleeding and raw. For an hour, he pegged over ground that was so springy with decades of fallen pine needles, it seemed to lift him. When he heard the rough growl of a jeep, he ducked behind some brush until it passed. After that, he walked along the road's edge, sure that when another patrol went by, he'd have enough warning to take cover. And then he was there. It wasn't a landmark he recognized, or the way the road straightened out of its curve. It was the sense of betrayal that hung all around. He'd done something terrible here, and the place remembered. "Pax!" he called out, not caring if anyone heard him. "Let the jeeps come." Bye. "Let the jeeps come. Let a whole army come." He was leaving without his fox. "Pax!" Again his shouts. The silence grew only deeper. Ominous now, not promising. He started along the road again, calling and keeping his eyes to the gravel shoulder. He was sure Pax had the toy soldier in his mouth when the car had peeled away. Whenever Pax had given up on Peter, he would have dropped it. Peter wanted to hold it in his hand again, a solid proof that his fox had been here. He walked a quarter mile, a half mile, eyes down. And then he stopped short. He wasn't going to find that toy soldier because Pax wouldn't have given up. Not ever. Pax would never have thought he'd been abandoned. They were inseparable. Pax had known it all along. Peter was the one who'd had to learn it. If Pax wasn't here, he must have gone home to find Peter, or tried. Maybe the river would have blocked him, but maybe not. Dogs made it home again against crazy odds all the time. Pax was 10 times smarter than any dog, so why wouldn't he be able to find his way? Maybe he was there right now. Home. Home was about 10 miles southeast of the old mill, and the mill was probably 4 or 5 miles south of where he was right now. So he'd head south, calling for Pax all the way. The gorge beside the mill would be too dangerous to navigate in the dark, so he'd sleep there, then make the descent at dawn. He would cross the river where it widened out at the mill, and then after another 10 miles of trails that he knew, he'd be home. "Hold on," he said out loud. "I'm coming." Will he find him? What's going to happen? He's getting closer. So that is the end of chapter 26. See you next time.